This is Santos Escobar, and you're watching Pro Wrestling.
All right, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Pro Wrestling for Life. Fuck.
That was a harmonic.
Yeah, that was Nick. My co-host, Nick Hausman, here, playing the fucking harmonica. Hey, Nick. What's on the show today, Nick?
Oh, we're going to have some fun here today, Shawn. This is a big one. I mean, really big. You know, we're very blessed to have a lot of great guests here on the show, but this week we got two really big ones. After we talk some of the news of the week here at the top of the show, first of all, we're going to hear from WWE NXT superstar, the leader of Legado Del Fantasma, Santos Escobar in the house. And this is a long time coming, Shawn. You guys have been going back and forth on social media for a while now.
Yeah, we have. And finally, Santos Escobar made it onto Pro Wrestling for Life. It's great conversation. I hope everyone enjoys it. You know, he kind of lets his guard down a little bit, and he's just talking like a normal cat. You know, there's some stuff in there he talks about, man, that really hit the heartstrings, man. Like the shit he talks about with his dad, and yeah, man. You see, because I mean, you know, on TV, man, his persona, man, I love his persona, man. But he shows a little different side of himself in this.
I was pleasantly surprised how nice he was, because yeah, you see him on TV and you're like, that is not a man I think that I would spill a coffee on, you know. But yeah, he was really down to earth, and I agree. He was very open. There was a lot of great conversation here with him.
Yeah. So So I really hope everyone enjoys it. You know, I really had a great time talking to him, and just love that guy to death, man. Just appreciate the respect he's always shown to me since the very first day I met him. So.
Well, yeah, and after Santos, the hits keep on coming because we are going to have Ariel Helwani in the house. Ariel is, of course, one of the preeminent MMA pro wrestling analysts. Great conversation, another business.
Yeah, man.
You're lit up, man. Like realizing what we got coming up here on this show, right?
No, I just say, look, you know, Ariel, he's known as the MMA guy, but he was an old school pro wrestling fan before MMA. So yeah, I love that he keeps showing the love.
And we were supposed to do a game show segment this week. We went to connect with our contestant, who's just a fan of the show, Jesse Baker, and Jesse didn't show. So we're not going to have a game show segment here. Maybe I'll tell you about it at the outro. I'll tell you what I had in store for the game this week. But Jesse, that's your loss, and we're going to find another contestant now. So if you're listening, you want to be on the show, you want to go head-to-head with Shawn, you can shoot us a DM at Pro Wrest for Life, use a hashtag, whatever, hit me up. We'll figure it out. But we got two great guests and a lot of news to get to, so let's get to it. Let's break it down with some news you can use. News that'll leave a bruise. The draft was this past week. Friday night it started on SmackDown, continued on to Monday night, last night on Raw. Couple NXT call-ups, Xia Li, Ridge Holland going to be heading up. And, of course, Hit Row Records all getting called up to the main roster. I believe all going to SmackDown as well. Yeah.
Good for Hit Row. Get on the big stage in front of the biggest audience, and they're going to do great. I mean, you know, provided that creative does their part, they're going to do great. I really think so. You know, Ridge Holland, he's got such upside, man. That guy, I'm a big fan of that guy. From the moment I saw him down at the Performance Center, and so I mean, he's been down there in the system down there for a minute, but not a long time. Okay, Jesus Christ, what are we? You know, when are they going to do something with this guy? So some people are surprised he got called up already. I'm not. I think he's ready. You know, and that's what that NXT. I mean, look, they're supposed to be a developmental, you know, brand or whatever, and you know, to get guys ready for the main roster, quote unquote main roster, if that's how they're doing it again. And if that's the case, then this is the right thing to do with these people. And Xia Li as well, man. I'm a huge fan of hers too. You heard me talk about her.
Oh, dude, I'm stoked for her on SmackDown because, like, not that it's good or bad, but Raw, I feel like caters oftentimes a little bit more to kids, and SmackDown has a little bit more of an edge to it. They seem to want to go for, young adults a little bit harder, more sports centric, I guess is maybe the words I'm using for with the product over on Fox. Man, nobody says like killer athlete like Xia Li. I mean, you just look at her, the way she moves, all the martial arts. I think she's going to be a dynamite over on SmackDown on Friday nights. I'm really excited about it.
And just the way she presents herself in all, like, in every manner, it's really impressive. Like, her social media game is tight. Like, I mean, not that that's like a,
it is though,
but it's huge these days. Like today's pro wrestler, you have to be your own producer, all that shit, so yeah, big fan of Zaya's, obviously. Fucking, I don't know. Yeah. It's about the 10th time I've said that in this segment.
Sure. And, it sounds like they're trying to create a big star for China as well, which is going to be great, for them to be able to break into that market and have somebody that they can market over there, because Xia Li's backstory, I think Hunter's talked about it on a couple of the calls, is crazy. Like, she came from a very rural part of China. Like, the whole experience of coming to the States and being in the I mean, what a story, man. That's
like, I mean, I don't know if it was her that got disowned or like some crazy. It was like some really crazy like sacrifice she made for this shit, Yeah,
it was her family. Like, and I think it was like her or like the country. She had to make a choice or something like that, like to decide to stay in the States, and it was very, very difficult. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. For sure. Big news there with all the NXT call-ups coming up. The draft overall, I thought was really enjoyable. I was at Replay Lincoln Park, hosted a party with a bunch of fans, made a lot of new fans. Everybody seemed to enjoy themselves. And unlike last year where I thought SmackDown just like kind of swept the board, Raw got a lot of big talent this time. I mean, Becky Lynch moving over to Raw, Edge, Seth Rollins. I thought that there's a good haul for Raw this time around.
Hey, so I've been seeing like, and reading some shit, and it seems now like, as opposed to in the past, like, the draft and all that stuff, it was just like another gimmick for, ratings on the show or whatever. But like, man, these networks are really like getting behind this shit. Hey, no, we need like, they're fighting for fucking talent on their show, right?
Oh, 100%.
Like, and USA, like NBC versus Fox over like who gets the best talent, right?
I kind of wish we saw more of that. Like, I would be really intrigued to see the actual negotiations with USA and Fox trying to figure out who gets who on each brand. Charlotte was the big get from Raw to SmackDown. I guess the Fox executives really wanted Charlotte Flair, so they got Charlotte Flair. Yeah. So
you got Jacob Allman fighting to get you on your show. You're gonna probably get him.
Hey, and you know what? Those USA execs, they were smart. They got Gable Steveson out of nowhere. I don't know how that was going to work, Shawn. This guy is still in school. He's fighting for the NCAA Division Championship, and he's also a Raw superstar at the same time. That is a lot. That's a lot at 22,
Yeah, dude, just a fucking gold medalist in the Olympics. Dude, that's not a lot.
It's
another fucking day at work, dude. Come on, man. These are fucking people that they operate on a fucking level that you and I can't. And dude, I've operated on a pretty high level, but right. You and I can't even fucking fathom it, Nick.
Do you put him right in? Do you have him start wrestling? Do you put him in a group, to just kind of
just take your time, man.
Yeah.
Plus, you don't want to get him hurt either.
Right.
So
yeah, that's true. Talking about people getting hurt, one man who has reckless disregard for human life, it would seem, is Arn Anderson, a.k.a. Armed Anderson. That's what CM Punk calls him. So last week on Dynamite, he cuts this promo trying to get, Cody Rhodes all hyped up, trying to find that darkness, that inner, evil to battle Malachi Black. And he has this line about how he's the kind of guy that, if somebody pulls him over on the side of the road, and I'm paraphrasing here, he'll get out, pull his Glock out, put it up to their head and blast their brains out. And,
No, it wasn't. Dude, come on. You got to get it right, though.
Okay.
This is fucking important, dude, because he's talking about someone trying to carjack him, not just some fucking dipshit coming up to his car door and he's going to blow his head off. He's talking about someone carjacking him. And he said, fuck you. I'm going to blow your fucking head off. Way different, Nick.
Well,
Way different.
I was paraphrasing here. I'm trying to find the exact Glock promo lines of dialogue here. But yes, it was if he was getting carjacked, he would pull the Glock out and defend himself by blowing somebody's brains out. Even
I'm with him. I'm fucking with him. And I've never owned a gun ever.
No, my question is, does this, when I was taught to cut promo stuff, killing, death, that was kind of a line I was told to not cross. But at this past week, Arn, the Glock thing, Goldberg's like, I'll murder you, Bobby Lashley, out in the desert. I don't know how you feel about it being taken to those lengths.
Arn's was natural. The Goldberg stuff was a little bit more forced, in my opinion. It didn't seem as the shit would fuck Arn. That shit just came rolling off Arn's tongue.
So you think just great promo that Arn cut on Dynamite?
Fucking great.
Awesome. Yeah, I agree.
I'm sure there's going to be some people that totally disagree with me, and I could give two fucks.
This episode of Pro Wrestling for Life is brought to you by Roman. Look, nobody is perfect. Even the best pole vaulters occasionally don't vault over the pole they're supposed to be vaulting over. It does happen. Even the best golfers, they get up there and they three-putt on the green, when the tournament is on the line. But if you come up short in the bedroom, it's perfectly okay. But
perfectly okay, Nick. Perfectly okay.
Yeah, it happens to everybody, Shawn, right?
Yeah.
But if it's bothering you, there's options, and you can go to GetRoman.com/X-Pac now to get your to take care of that option for you.
That's right, Nick. Hey, man, with Roman, you can get a free online evaluation and ongoing care for your ED, all from the comfort and privacy of your own home. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional will work with you to find the best treatment plan, Nick. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2-day shipping.
Oh, that's awesome, because you're going to want that in a timely fashion so you can start taking advantage of it. And it's straightforward, it's discreet, and you know what? Getting started is simple. You just got to go to GetRoman.com/X-Pac, complete an online visit, and you're going to get $15 off your first month, Shawn.
Damn, $15. Wow.
Bill, yeah, for sure.
Hey, man, there's a straightforward way to take care of your ED, Nick. GetRoman.com/X-Pac.
Yep, get started now and save $15 on your first month of treatment.
All right, everyone. Welcome back to the show. And I'm excited to be joined right now by Santos Escobar. He's my favorite guy in NXT right now. What's up, man?
How are you? I'm very happy. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. You're a legend, a big fan, and I hope we get to have a match.
Yeah, it would be wonderful, man. Hey, man. What's up with all this humility and everything, man? I'm used to the Santos Escobar I'm hearing on TV, man.
Oh, it's right here. Just give me a couple of minutes.
All right.
He'll jump in. Yeah
man. Hey, man, I'm so happy for you because, look, I'm aware of your journey, right? Like, I remember, there was talk of you coming to WWE several years ago. I don't want to get all up into the story on why it took you a little bit longer to get here, but you're here now, man, and you're crushing it, my friend. And and not just like in the ring, like the total package, man. The swag, the in-ring stuff, and man, very good on the mic, man.
Thank you so much. I think one of the, just like you said, it was a lot of years. Is he coming? Is he not coming? And then stuff happened that I don't even know what happened, but I didn't get to come then. Then more stuff, AAA, Lucha Underground. But then finally, I got to go to WWE, and of course, it's been an adventure, all of it. But man, being through the PC, the coaches, Hunter, Shawn Michaels, Terry Taylor, Fit Finlay, Steven Regal. I mean, I've been doing this for 20-something years because I was born into this business. And I'm a second generation luchador, being all over the place. But the one thing I committed to do was I'm going to reset my hard drives and enjoy this process. Because to me, it was just like getting a scholarship to go to Harvard, MIT, something like that, where you get the opportunity to be around these people and learn. And of course, yeah, I'm still, I'm still not humble. I still have the Thanos personality going on. But man, you have to be humble and realize where you are and enjoy having these people tell you, hey, do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that. And, it's been an adventure that I wouldn't change for anything. I loved it, and I'm getting better week after week after week. And now that I have new people around with NXT 2.0, oh my God, this is going to get even more fun because now I'm the veteran, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So, man, I think it was a good thing, man, that it took you a little while longer to get to where you are now because, man, watching you grow, in AAA and, becoming the main event star that you are. Like, you came in, like, you were already a main eventer when you came to NXT. Like, I don't think a lot of people realize that when they see somebody coming to NXT and they're not familiar with the international scene or whatever, man. Like, you're not, like you said, man, you're 20 years in and you're main eventing and selling out arenas, man. And so, but man, still when you come to NXT, man, like, can you talk about like, the things you learned after you got there, man? Like we think we know what's up, man. And then like, then somebody tells us new things, man. It's like, wow, man, I never thought of that,
I've heard the expression, I'm learning things that I didn't know I had forgotten. That's kind of the vibe. And you have to be humble. That's the word. That's the word of the day. You have to be humble because the first thing you do, well, in my case, I got hurt. So the first thing I did was I went under and I got my knee fixed. Which that in and of itself, it's humbling. It's humbling enough because now you're walking into a place where you think everyone knows who you are and they're expecting you to perform and you can't even walk. Wow. Talk about going back to the line. But then it's just the most important thing is that you have to understand that anything you've accomplished, anything you've done in the past, you should leave it there and try to enjoy this as if it was the first time. Because if you're not coachable, then all of this is of no use. You can't have Shawn Michaels come and tell you you should do this if you're thinking, nah, man, I'm a main eventer. I'm doing 300 plus shows a year. I know this. No, I mean, you have to embrace it. And it's not easy because it's been a while. When I got here, I got hurt, went through surgery, all the rehab and all that. And then you have to go through the rotation, which is training in ring, lift weights, skull sessions, all that. You have to go through it. And in order to be able to assimilate it, you have to embrace it. You're going to be tired. Bro, in Mexico, I would travel. I would have 6 or 7 shows a week, if not more, because sometimes we did 2 or 3 shows in any given
on
Saturday,
a Sunday.
Sunday. You know it because Mexico is different. You have to improvise, and you travel. You come back, planes, airports. You have to adjust. That was my life. Then flat line. Then start learning again. The cravat.
Right.
In the ring, Robbie Brookside, Norman Smiley, whom I know from Mexico 25 years ago. It's been amazing. I've loved every second of it, and it reshaped me into something different that I would have never accomplished had I not been able to come here.
Yeah, man. Hey, and you know what, man? what's really cool too is the faction that you formed.
Yeah.
Legado. And it's great that you got Raul and I don't know what we're calling him now. DJZ?
Hey, Joaquin
Wild. Man, two great talents, man. And they were trying to figure out like what do we do with these guys? And it's just been a perfect fit, man. And it's really helped those guys shine too, man. And I really love to see it, man.
Absolutely. I mean, this business we're in is, of course, for me, it's tradition, is my life, is what I do, is what I love, but it's also a business. And it's a business of confidence. Gotta have confidence. I'm Mexican. I shouldn't even be here. I shouldn't even be able to communicate with you because I'm from Mexico, and Mexican people don't speak English this well. And Mexican people shouldn't be able to stand in the middle of a ring and grab the stick and cut a promo. But I'm doing it. And the reason why I'm doing it is because my mom was behind me all my life. You're the best. You're the number one. You're the champion. You're a star. And at some point, I believed it. My dad, in the other hand, was like, nah, you ain't good enough. Damn. You have to go back and you work harder, and you ain't good enough, and you give me more and give me more. But eventually, the character, the confidence, it comes alive. When you have a certain amount of time in the business, you learn that you will gain more by helping other people than outshining them.
Yeah.
And that's what I did with Raul and Joaquin. They're both amazing talents, amazing, off the charts. We needed to give them that push. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, okay, it's your time. And it's been numerous occasions where I have to cut a promo and I bring them in. And you should say something, and you should say something too. And eventually it becomes natural. And then you have someone like Elektra Lopez.
Right.
Exactly.
Amazing, beautiful, young talent. She's hungry and she looks the part. Now you have an act. Now we can make Vince McMahon some money. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, man, it's like what you were just talking about helping others and like being unselfish with your knowledge and just all of that. Like there was when I was in Mexico and like even in Japan before that, when I was really young, in Universal and like all the old school legendary lucha guys, Brazos, Villanos,
yes.
Santo, all those guys. Like they would tell me like there was a certain mentality in Mexico where like some of the guys were like very selfish. Like there was like an expression, keeping all the candies to yourself or some shit like that. Like
I went through that too.
Yeah. Yeah. And I noticed it down there, man. And like I was very giving and like, man, people were man, they really appreciated it because I don't think they were used to it.
Yeah, I went through that too. I mean,
yeah.
if you see, my first match was probably around 98, 99, something like that.
Wow.
So I still had a little bit of those guys where you would just have to go out there and figure it out.
Fight for whatever you could get almost.
Kind of be ready, stay ready. That's something they tell us all the time on NXT. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. That's something that I had forgotten. And I have to read. It just came back to me. Like I remember all those days where I would be just nervous and stressed out because I didn't know. And my dad, the wise man, he would always tell me, you have the training. You know what to do. You're in perfect shape. Don't worry about it. Just go out there, enjoy yourself, and protect yourself at all times. And that's what I did. And that's how I thrived. And I managed to, climb the ladder.
Yeah.
And eventually, and in Mexico, it's not easy if you are a second generation wrestler, son of a legend. It's anything but easy. Everyone wants to test you. Everyone wants to know if you know the bases and are you aware of the roots of the business and are you ready to carry the legacy, this and that and all that. And you have to get into fights. You have to just make yourself through it. And then eventually it just kind of you struggle for years sometimes, and many people doesn't make it. And sometimes you finally make it and you find yourself in the main event, being a main eventer, and that's a whole different thing than just being a part of a match, than being a superstar. It's a whole different treatment, and that's when you enjoy it. It took me 12 years to get there, 13 years to get there. But when I got there, I realized I could do it that way, be selfish, be hard on the new guys, or I could lead them and teach them how we do it. I won't lie to you. At more than one occasion, I had to go the hard way, but most of the time it was, oh, thank you, sir. Thank you, boss. Thank you for showing me. And that's what I try to do now on NXT, because we're all the same. That's true. Yeah. But some of us have been a little longer, and maybe you have a different output on things. And instead of keeping it to myself, I share it. Because this is a business, and if we all do good, we will all do good.
Hey, man. Oh, go ahead, Nick.
I just want to say, you talk a lot about stepping up and giving back. It is NXT 2.0. There are a lot of fresh faces around there right now. What for you is different about NXT now 2.0? Like being inside of it, what is different for you with the new iteration of NXT as opposed to like what you were doing before with NXT, I guess 1.0,
Well, in my case, my group, Legado Del Fantasma, is pretty much the same thing.
Right.
We had asses. But something that I love is opportunity. Opportunity is something that you have to be very aware, and when it comes, you have to grab it and hold on tight, because that's what kept me away for 11 years. Opportunity. You miss it, who knows if it's going to come back. And so the very first night, NXT 2.0 was like probably 10 or 11 debuts. That, to me, on a live show, that's unique. I was there. I saw it. These guys were a week ago. They were just training and doing their reps in the gym, and now they have to go live and have a main event and have a crossover and have a open the show, cut a promo. That ain't easy. And that's NXT 2.0. It's an opportunity up for grabs, and whoever's stays ready, that's who's going to get it.
Hey, was that their first time in front of a live audience too? Because I know like the coconut shows, I don't know if they're still going on or not, man. Like were those guys able to even get any ring time in front of people before that debut?
We run the shows in-house.
Oh, okay.
All the coconut look, we run it in-house. They do have their in-ring reps, but remember, this was NXT 2.0 debut, and the whole venue was new, more crowd, everything was different. If you see, it's more kind of a
brighter in there, like you could like the
kind of raw,
brighter look in there.
The mat, the cameras, everything's different. But for them, it's not even different. It's new. For us, it's different because we were there a week ago. For them, it's brand new, and they have to bring it because this is a business that's run every single week, and we have shows on Monday, Tuesday, Friday, and then all over again. And we go on the road, and that's how it works. So all the time you were training and learning from these legends, okay, now settle, go out there and do it, perform, execute. Yeah. I love it. I love the pressure.
Hey, man, how much more do you feel like you have to accomplish in NXT? And when do you feel like, you might want to make a move? Well,
I feel ready. I mean, if you had asked me this a year ago, I would have said I want to stay longer because and remember, I will never get rid of the tradition and legacy and culture of this that's in my blood and my veins. But the business side of me, I needed to learn more, just learn more so that I can perform to the best of my ability at any given day or night or place. Now I feel ready. Do I still need to do more on NXT? Well, if they keep me there, I'll take everything. Yeah. I'll take everything they put in front of me. Should they bring all of us to SmackDown and say, we'll be ready. We're not only ready, we're hungry. We know we have a mentality of business, and we want to make business, and we want to create a sensation, and we want to work for not just our target, our personal target, which is the Latino community.
Yeah.
Los mexicanos, los puertorriqueños, los cubanos, los centro y sudamericanos, los latinos en Estados Unidos. But since we can work the stick and we can perform 100% and even a little more, we can perform to any given target at any given show on any given day. And so I feel ready. If they want to keep me around, I'm going to destroy the place. And if they want to put me on SmackDown or Raw, I'll do the same because I'm ready for that.
Well,
and I've said something. Sorry, I've said something since I got here. But of course, when you get to WWE, you want everything. You want to be a Hall of Famer. You want to main event WrestleMania. You want to be the champion at any brand, all brands. But you don't know how. You have to know the product, know the business, know how it works. And for that, you need to learn. Now I'm ready. Just give me more time, and I'll be there main eventing WrestleMania. Why? Because I want this for me. I want this for my family, for my country, for Lucha Libre. And maybe, who knows, Hall of Fame. Only time will tell.
Fair enough. I should note we're recording this on the Thursday before the draft actually happens. We're going to be releasing this after the draft. So by the time this goes to air, you may already be on SmackDown or Raw. We don't really know what's going to happen with you right now as we exit this conversation here in a little bit, you know?
I know. Yeah, this is a big week for everyone. Everyone's excited. Everyone's got the buzz, you know, like, hey, what's going to happen?
Fair enough.
Hey, man, are you going to stay in Florida when they move you to the main roster?
I don't know. I mean, that's the kind of answer that my wife would want to address. Because, you know, I have my son and my daughter here, and wow. Let me tell you something. I'll tell you a little story if we have the time.
Oh, yeah.
From the first time I laid eyes on WWF, I fell in love with what it was. WrestleMania, the shows, all of it. And my dad used to tell me, well, if you like that, get it. And he never kind of, I was always at school. My mom was behind me so that I would go to school always and learn English and learn French and be correct and all that. And my dad would take me on the road to the gyms, you know, but he never saw me as a luchador. He saw me more like maybe a lawyer, maybe a politician, a businessman, but never a warrior.
Was that his hope for you?
I just think he thought I was too sweet. I don't know. He never thought I'd be tough enough. And boy, oh boy, that hurt me bad.
Wow.
For the first 10 years of knowing this, because I was training on my own, I would go and train with him, and then I would find a way to train with someone else and learn more. And I just wanted to prove to him that I was worthy of his name. And you know, in Mexico, the dad inherits the name to the son.
Yeah.
And he didn't give his name to me; he gave it to someone else.
Wow.
My cousin. And oh, that hurt bad. But there's the people that will break under pressure, and there's the people it's just gonna light a fire on their behind, and that's me. Because when I saw that, I just thought to myself, I'm gonna get that name. You're gonna give me your name. I thought about it. I didn't say anything, because to me it was pretty obvious. He thought his legacy was not gonna go on with me. So I used a different name, different mask, and I was just working my behind off, working. Eventually, he did give me his name. And that's when this whole thing began, where he was like, oh, I guess I was wrong. Well, now I'm going to be behind you all the way, and I'm going to push you as hard as I can so that you can accomplish what you want. And the whole time, the goal was to get here. And we're talking about 30 years ago. 28 years ago. If you see all the intricacies and twists and turns that have happened along the way for me to get here, wow, we could have a documentary do. But the thing is, you fight for what you want, you see something, you get it. And I was ready. But my kids, I brought them from Mexico. They didn't speak English. They used to go to school in Mexico and speak Spanish, and they had to adjust and learn. And I don't know, this has become their journey more than mine. You know, and I know I just went all over the place with
No, that's good, man.
But just to answer to you, to me, this was my goal the whole time. To them, now it's a different, I cannot bring them back to Mexico now because it took them 2 years to adapt to a school, to a language, to the American way, the way we do things here. I couldn't just take them back. So should I go to Raw or SmackDown, I would probably stay here.
Stay there, yeah, right on. It's not a bad place to be.
And so if you may wind up on Raw and SmackDown and outside of NXT, you know, who are some of the people you're excited to work with? You know, you've had a certain pool down at NXT. Obviously, there's a pool of really great talent up on Raw and SmackDown as well.
Oh, yeah. Oof. Well, right now, you know, we have a lot going on NXT. But, you know, this kind of things just happen. And one day you're here, the other day you're there. But should that happen, there's something I want to do. And that's work with Ray. And I know it's probably now it's a cliche to work with Ray, but it's important to me. I call myself the emperor of lucha libre, el emperador de la lucha libre. And to work with him would be just, and I think he would love to work with me as well. I mean, I know it. I just know it. We've worked before in Mexico. And in Lucha Underground, it would just be magical, and it would be good for business. It would be good for Dominic as well, because, I mean, why not? I mean, I'm a second generation luchador myself. The story is right there. So
yeah, man. That's
something I would love to do. Anything else? Of course, I like the bloodline. It's something that resonates with me and my boys, and Elektra, it resonates with us. The tradition, the family, the roots.
Yeah, man.
You know, the sacred part of what we do and the leadership that comes with it. I don't know. I'm just such a storyteller.
It feels so authentic, man. You know, it just feels real when you're watching it, man. And man, and you guys too, man. You gotta. It just has an authenticity to it, you know.
Yeah. Every single time you have to tell a story, if you believe it, if you feel it, people will feel it too.
I personally am geeking out a little over the idea of Legado del Fantasma versus the Bloodline. You know, especially with Elektra and the wings there. I mean, you know, Naomi, of course, has family in the Bloodline. You could certainly do something there. But, man, that would be a banger. You think about, you know, you guys in the New Day, right? I mean, there's all these great entities. Even the reformed Hurt Business right now. It's a great time for factions in WWE.
Here's another one. LWO.
Oh!
Man, that's something that's waiting to happen. It's right there. I mean, I haven't met Vince McMahon yet. I met him like 10 years ago in Mexico when I was doing my tryout. And then, you know, I've never been afraid to approach people. And I just came over and say, hi, my name is Jorge Alcantara, Mexican. I want to work for you. Little did he know I was going to work for him 10 years after that. But I haven't been able to talk to him. And, you know, I know that he would either love me or hate me. But that's something that still needs to happen.
No, man. Hey, he would love you because, like, I know what he was looking for, especially when Alberto Del Rio left. And you fit every box, bro. You like every box check mark for you.
Thank you.
Especially, bro, the being able to rock the mic in English, bro. That's huge for him.
Mm-hmm.
I know that, and that was the thing. that always made me feel different, you know? Of course, the in-ring ability, gotta have it. Gotta have the talent, because Lord knows I'm not 6'5", 275 pounds. But you gotta have the talent, you gotta have the hustle, but you gotta have the mic. That's important. You gotta have the mic to talk to your Mexicanos, to your Latinos, and you gotta have the mic to talk to the American audience, to embellish them, to enamor them, you know? You gotta be able to tell them a story without taking a bump. And then go crazy with the bumps.
Hey, man, that just reminded me of the time I tried to cut a live promo, in-ring promo down in Mexico. It was like one of the big shows, right? Like Verano de Escándalo or whatever.
Yeah, it's SummerSlam.
Dude, because I could talk a bit, like little conversation in Spanish, but man, when I got out there and tried to cut that promo, I shit the bed so bad. The whole place was laughing at me, and I'm the baby face. Oh, brother. You had to be there, I guess.
Mexican audience will kill you.
You're telling me you, Sean Waltman, shit the bed with a microphone in your hand? I've never seen that in the history of your promo ability. So
it was in Spanish and it was in Mexico. Mexican crowd is very different.
Yeah.
While we have you here, I know we're tight on time. I just wanted to ask you about what it's been like to work with Hunter. You know, obviously friend of Shawn's. What's it been like getting to know and work with Paul Levesque?
I love my big boss. I just love him. He's a straight shooter. When I got here and I hurt myself, I was so ashamed. I swear to you guys, I was so ashamed. And I remember, Shawn, this one time? It was some sort of big town hall meeting, and I was on one side of the arena and you was on the other side of the gym. And I just walked towards you all ashamed and say, I swear to you, I'm just I get over this. Because I was ashamed. I wanted to prove something. The first time I met Paul Hunter, Triple H, in Mexico, 10 years ago, I was doing my tryout, and they had the first Raw live in Mexico City. So I was walking, and I always dressed the part. I always dress sharp, no matter what. That's just something that comes from my dad and the Mexican lucha libre. Always dress the part. And I remember I was just walking probably to catering, and Hunter came past me and he said, "That's a badass tie." And he kept walking. That was it. And then when I saw him again, and now I'm working with him and we have this good rapport, I reminded him, this is a tie. I kept the tie for 10 years and I show it to him. But the point is, he's such a nice person, straight shooter, always teaching, giving, always giving. He's not the kind of boss that's always taking something from you. He's always giving you. And the way I see it, all the tools he's given me are tools that will make me a better performer. And of course, it's going to better my financial position because I'm going to be better at the business. And that's something I wouldn't change for everything. And while we're talking about Hunter, we should talk about Shawn Michaels.
Yeah.
Shawn Michaels is always right there, and he always has the right words to tell you. Always. Sometimes we're struggling, and this is something I've done since I came to NXT. Is some people might think I've overproduced my stuff, and that's just the way I am. I have a different mind for things, and I'm always thinking about the cameras and the time and how this is going to come off to the audience. And sometimes we'd be struggling because you have a long show. It's a 2-hour show live, and Santos Escobar's segment is not always going to be the most important segment of the night, and that's just the way it is. So I just put on my producer hat and start producing. But sometimes you just can't find it. How do I come across with this? Here comes Shawn. Well, you should do this. And everything is like, why didn't we thought about that? And then comes Hunter without having heard what Shawn said and says something to the same effect. And we're all like, oh, we're such amateurs. How did we not see this so clearly? That's how it is to work with geniuses. And all the people there, wow.
It's easier to see things when you're standing back a little bit and you're not right this close.
The only thing that gives perspective is distance. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
Well, WWE NXT 2.0 Tuesday nights, USA Network. Of course, we can find you, Legado Del Fantasma. Thank you very much for joining us today on Pro Wrestling for Life.
One more thing, man. Hey,
sure. Yeah.
Hey, man, I just want to tell you, it means a lot to me, man. The respect you show me, and wanting to have a match with me, and putting that out there for people to see. And bro, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart for that, man. And I would love to get in the ring with you one day, as long as I could do my part, man. Like, if things keep going well, and I can get back in there and live up to what I need to live up to have a great match with you, I would love to. I would absolutely love to. It'd be an honor for me, bro. You could be the guy to put me out of my misery.
Wow.
Wow. Thank you so much, Shawn. I mean, you know how much this means to me, because we're in a business that's very unique and different, and it's hard to find people that will shoot straight to you. I always say we are a family. We are a big family, but you have bad cousins and bad uncles and families. Not everyone loves each other, and it's really hard when you to find people like that. And Shawn, I just want to tell you that all I have for you is love and respect for all the bumps and all the matches and all the pleasures you've given me and millions over the years. And if there's any way I can repay you by being in the ring with you, that would be my Hall of Fame moment.
Wow, man.
That would be it. And now you've just made my list. You've just made my list, because my list was main event WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Madison Square Garden. Have a successful career that might lead to a Hall of Fame. And now
put X-Pac out of his misery.
It's right there.
Yeah.
Wow. Look at an actual list with all that stuff you just said. That's crazy.
Yes, if you don't do that, you'll never accomplish it.
Wow, that's true.
Thank you so much, and I love you, and I hope I see you soon so I can hug you in person and tell you
too, my friend.
Meant every single word you've ever said to me off camera, every single tweet you've dedicated to me, every single retweet, like. It's just as if I was there with you, and you're giving me this.
Yeah, man.
Thank you so much. I will make you proud.
You already do. You already do, my friend. Have an amazing day.
I've been watching you, Shawn, for a very, very long time. You're a legend. Congratulations on the Hall of Fame and everything you've accomplished. So like I said, this is an honor for me. Thank you.
Oh, thanks, Ariel. Hey, for anyone who doesn't know, this is Ariel Helwani, and he's one of the premier MMA journalists and also a big pro wrestling fan. Which were you? Hey, Ariel, not that you didn't even need the introduction. Sorry.
No. Go ahead.
But hey, which were you a fan of first, pro wrestling or combat sport, martial arts?
Oh, no, pro wrestling. Pro wrestling was the first sport that I ever was a fan of in any way, shape, or form. I remember vividly being in my local video rental store. This is probably 86, 87. I'm 4 or 5 years old. And I remember seeing the box for WrestleMania 1, Hogan and Mr. T up against the ropes. And I loved it. Bret Hart was my first favorite athlete. I adored Bret Hart as a kid. In fact, I have vivid memories of being at the doctor's office as a young boy, and I was nervous about getting a shot. And my mom told me, close your eyes and think of something that makes you happy. Yeah. And what I thought of was Bret Hart winning the heavyweight championship. This is before he became like a single star, because I loved him so much. I thought he was the epitome of cool. When I was in first grade, I was like 7, 8 years old. My parents took me to the Montreal Forum to watch an event. It was the first event I ever went to, and I'll never forget Bret Hart versus Mr. Perfect. They had an all-time classic match, and they fought to a draw Brett went on top of perfect 1, 2, and then the bell rung, and they said it was a time limit. These things are like stuck in my brain. And my great claim to fame is that I was in attendance for the Montreal Screwjob in 1997 as a fan. I was there at the Bell Center. I'm from Montreal, so it was a big deal for us. And yeah, I've loved wrestling and always appreciated it. And I believe that my love for pro wrestling led to me becoming an MMA fan and an MMA journalist. If it wasn't for pro wrestling, I don't think there is an MMA sport out there. So I have a great amount of respect for it.
Thank you. And I'm glad you just brought that up, because I was gonna ask you at some point, there's like it doesn't seem as bad anymore. It seems like the pure MMA fans are being a little bit more open about pro wrestling these days. I don't know if I was going to bring up the Dan Lambert, American Top Team stuff. But do you see that getting a little bit less tension between the two different fan bases, or is it still pretty bad?
It's annoying if I'm being honest. Like, I do a show called the MMA Hour, but I have interest in a lot of other stuff, and I think that there's a great connection between wrestling and MMA. I think that the roots of MMA are in pro wrestling,
for sure.
And over the years, I've had wrestlers on, and some of the fans get all hot under the collar. Why are you having this fake guy on? And nothing pisses me off more, because I feel like I've been defending pro wrestling to a whole host of people throughout my life, saying that you guys are athletes, that it's not fake, and now I'm going through it because I'm a dad and my kids are into it, and like their friends' parents are like, but isn't it fake? I'm like, no, it's not fake. You want me to go through all the examples? So anyway, I feel like there's been times where, the two worlds have kind of come together, Punk coming over to MMA, Brock going over to UFC, et cetera, et cetera. But for the most part, I just think that there's a lot of insecure MMA fans who don't want to acknowledge or admit that, MMA's roots are in pro wrestling, and they're only fooling themselves. Anyone, and I think even Dana White himself would admit that he has taken a lot from the world of pro wrestling, and there's nothing wrong with paying respect to those that came before you. So I don't know. And I'm sure you know this, Dan Lambert is a massive pro wrestling fan.
Yeah. They used to, it was like Conan Silveira told me, like, when I met him, they would set a ring up down there. God, they would do wrestling matches there. He
has a room in his house with maybe like 50, 60 belts. I don't know how he's gotten these over the years, but like the legit, like the one won by The Rock. I think he has the one that I think Stone Cold like threw in the water. Like, he's got like an immense amount of belts. The guy is such a huge fan. He's a bigger pro wrestling fan than he is an MMA fan, and he owns one of the best teams in the sport. So I think it's cool seeing him cut promos, and I think he could be a great heel manager. If I'm being honest, I don't really understand what the payoff is in this particular feud, but that's getting into the weeds.
Right. Are you enjoying it though?
I like seeing those guys in there, but here's one thing that really rubs me the wrong way. I don't like when people play pro wrestler, and I actually wasn't a fan of Ronda Rousey, the pro wrestler. I thought she was playing pro wrestler. She would walk down the ramp and almost acting like the celebrity who's there to make an appearance at WrestleMania, waving and smiling. Like, you don't do that when you're going into a big fight. You're intense, you're focused, especially her. And I felt like just the whole gimmick, everything about her was off. She felt like she was playing pro wrestler. And so when I see some of those guys there, I want to try to coach them and tell them, like, don't play pro wrestler. Act like yourself. Act like you would be at an MMA event. I think the one who could be a huge star, I don't know how much you know about Kayla Harrison, but Kayla Harrison, I think, could be more successful at pro wrestling than Ronda Rousey was. Two-time Olympic gold medalist in judo. She's in the back there with Dan Lambert, and she is an immense talent. And I think she's kind of, I'm like looking at their body language, and it's clear that someone told them, like, Paige is going like this too much, like just little things like that. I think they're playing too much, and I think they just should act like themselves. So those are my critiques about that particular.
Wow, interesting, man.
Yeah, I love this business, man. I've been watching it. In fact, a brief moment, I actually spoke to Jeff Jarrett before I became an MMA reporter about joining the TNA creative team. This is like back in 2005, based on the recommendation of Kurt Angle, who was there at the time. But he wanted me to move to Nashville and all this stuff, and that wasn't really in the cards for me. But like, I've been watching and respect you guys so much. I love everything about pro wrestling, and just have an immense amount of respect for everything that you guys have done.
I appreciate that, man. Hey, Ariel, I just want to take a second to congratulate you on becoming a United States citizen.
Oh, thanks. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
man.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll always be Canadian in my heart, but this country has given me a lot, so I'm very proud of that.
Yeah, man. And so I don't know why. I know, like, I've known you Canadians for a long time now, but for some reason I had this assumption that you're maybe from Toronto or
Montreal.
Yeah, oh yeah, I know that. But
Yeah.
but I didn't pick up the accent, man. And I'm a dude. Montreal is my favorite city in Canada. I love it, man. Oh my
Does it have anything to do with the nightlife?
Well, it did. It did, man. We used to go to this out by the airport. It was a little bit kind of seedy, but it's called Chez Francis.
Oh, okay.
And we used to always go there and have steak dinner and watch the ladies and stuff.
Yes, yes. Montreal is known for that. There's
Tabernacle.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Great wrestling town, rich wrestling history there, but also, of course, the nightlife, the women, very famous. The Las Vegas of the Northeast, as some people have called it. I know
fascinating pro wrestling scene up there and like history and all that, right? Like,
yes.
The Dino Bravo stuff, just all that crazy stuff. And anyways, I don't want to get all off into that. But
no, it's a great Mad Dog Vachon and all those guys.
Yeah. Hey, Nick, you want to hop in here or just gonna let me bogart?
No, you did. It's fine. I mean, why would I step on this conversation? No, I mean, you've talked a lot about, some of the MMA influences of pro wrestling. One of the things I wanted to kind of pick your brain about, since you do know the business so well, is who are some pro wrestlers, to flip the coin, that maybe you'd like to see entertain stuff in MMA? Is there anybody that you see right now you'd be like, man, I'm really interested to see what it'd be like if I could pull them out of this space and maybe throw them into a cage to see what would happen?
Oh man, that is a good question. I see Roman Reigns using that Superman punch, which feels like it was taken from my man GSP. Although I asked him about that, and it doesn't seem like it's something that he would be very interested in. Who's like a legit shoot tough guy? I feel like back in the day, Taker, I had the honor of interviewing him one time early on in my career, and he told me that if wrestling was as popular, MMA was as popular, at the time as it was when he started, he would have highly considered mixed martial arts. I'm happy he didn't, because he obviously turned into a legend. I feel like a guy like Booker T could have been super tough. We've heard a lot of stories. Haku, I've always heard that Haku was like the toughest guy. You would probably know better than me, but I'm trying to think right now, like who could be, Gable Steveson, the guy that the WWE just signed, was flirting with MMA, and I would have loved to see him go that route, but I think he made the right choice by going down WWE route first. It seems like that's the smart. Dawkins is a big boy who seems to be very agile and athletic. I don't know who comes to mind. You're stumping me on this one.
No, just curious. I'm not trying to. It's not like I'm trying to stump you. This is not a gotcha question. I was just
no. I know. I feel like I should have a better answer here.
Hey, Ariel, these days, especially like just focus on WWE right now and their recruiting and all that. Like, man, there are a lot of legit, like, I don't want to say world class, but maybe I should say like athletes, man, that they're recruiting like from combat sports and judo, just that and the other thing, man. Like Smart. It's just much more. Yeah, man, these are real legitimate athletes, man, and it feels good to have people like that in the wrestling business.
Absolutely. I think personally, this is my opinion, I think a lot of that has to do with the new president, Nick Khan, who comes from the sports world. And I think he's trying to, and you see with some of the hires on camera, like reporters, like McAfee and whatnot, I think they're trying to get people who are coming from, the traditional sports world, mainstream world, to, I don't want to say legitimate. No, wrestling doesn't need to be legitimized, but, to kind of blur those lines like, oh, real, not, all that stuff. And so I know they're looking at a lot of those athletes that aren't just, in the past you would come from, entertainment or just someone who's interested in pro wrestling, but I think they're doing a great job of recruiting. And I think you see that with NXT as well. I had an opportunity to go, I think that's where we met, right at the tryouts in Vegas. And I thought that was really interesting to see, just how they're doing it now. And it feels like it's a lot more, again, for lack of a better word, legit, like focusing on athletes, and then we'll develop. Now, I think you need to have a personality. You need to have a character. If you don't, you're going to fall flat. But if you're also not athletic and you have the personality, you're also going to fall flat. So perhaps the line of thinking is, and I would love to see more managers, more mouthpieces.
Yeah.
I think that that's a lost art in this sport, and Lambert would be great at that. Heyman, of course, is a legend, but you can always kind of you can help someone who doesn't have a great personality but is very athletic, Brock Lesnar, with a great manager, as opposed to someone who is not athletic and has a great personality. So yeah, I'm happy to see that, and I think that now with like AEW doing its thing, there's almost like this arms race who could get to people first, and I think that's best for business, right? When there's a competitor, rising tide lifts all boats, in my opinion.
That tryout in Vegas was really interesting because, like, it was the first time like a lot of us in the press are really kind of seen that, watching them run drills and stuff. But I thought that the post tryout scrum with Hunter was maybe the most interesting part, because that's when he, like, right out of the gate said 90% of these people have never stepped foot in a wrestling ring. And I feel like that was really their big coming out, and like, we're changing direction here, moving a little less away from independent wrestlers, focusing more on those athletes. And I just wonder how that affects the two products as WWE gets filled up with these world-class athletes that didn't really do the indies. And it seems AEW is going to reap the benefits of all these very passionate independent wrestlers are all winding up in the same pool over at AEW,
Well, I'll just say a couple of things to that. Number one, I hope that Paul is feeling better. That's a very scary thing. I know he's a friend of yours, and he's been very, very kind to me over the last few years, getting to know him. So I wish him the best. That was a really cool scrum. It felt like, we were at like a sporting event. I know that they don't do that often, so it's really great to get that kind of insight and access. I hope they don't move too far away from the indies completely, because that's a big part of this business. And I think that they are making a mistake if they completely turn their backs on them, because look at all the great people that have come from that world as well. Look, you can make a very strong case that a lot of the decisions that WWE has made over the last couple of years has helped AEW tremendously. And some of them you're sitting back and wondering, like, how could you let this guy go? And you don't know everything that goes on behind the scenes.
That's right.
Like, you see a guy like Adam Cole and how over he is. And it's like you had him on NXT and you hardly even gave him a look on the main roster, and just look at the fans reacting to him. Not everyone, as you know very well, Shawn, needs to be the same giant guy with the big muscle. There's different strokes for different folks, and that's what's great about pro wrestling. So I hope they don't turn their back on the indies, but if they do, again, it's going to be, as you said, AEW's benefit.
I was saying this a couple of weeks ago when word got out that was what they were going to be focused on. Now, listen, if there's somebody out there creating a buzz on the independent scene, you don't think they're going to be on WWE's radar? You're crazy.
Yeah. They're not going to turn their back on that.
Exactly.
But they still need to have that open door and be, like I think Paul is a tremendous talent evaluator, and I think his resume speaks for itself. And I hope that when he gets back to being 100% in the very near future, that he can, they'll let him run NXT the way he was running it, because NXT was on fire a few years ago. Perhaps ill-advised to rush into going into a head-to-head battle with AEW, because you're talking about the third brand against the top brand for another league. It's like UFC putting a low-level fight night up against Bellator's best card each and every week. Like, it just doesn't work that way, and it's understandable if AEW, with the names that they have, are beating them. And I don't think that should be an indication or an indictment that, NXT is a bad brand that needs to be, rebranded and all that stuff. So anyway, I think that WWE over the years, the track record speaks for itself. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. And I'm one of those old school guys. Like, I don't think pro wrestling is a bad word, a dirty word. I love that, and right. I think sometimes it gets a little bit too crazy with the sports entertainment stuff. I think we all became fans of this because we love pro wrestling, and it's very refreshing to have options now where it's a different product with different characters and a different mindset. Mm-hmm. I think pro wrestling is on fire, and dare I say, I think it's hotter right now than the sport that I cover, MMA. I think it hasn't been this interesting for over 20 years. Wow. And I think that right now, like, I am tuning into everything, and I want to see who's showing up where, who's going to up the ante, all that stuff. And MMA at times can feel a little bit stale. I'd say this is one of those times where pro wrestling is hotter than MMA.
Wow. I don't argue with that, man. Yeah. 100%, because like the UFC, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just because it's been on top so consistently for so many years and people are just kind of bored with it. But like the buzz does not feel the same to me as it did a few years ago for UFC at the moment.
There's a lot. There's a lot of UFC. It's almost on every week. And if it's not UFC, it's Bellator, it's PFL. And the difference between, say, UFC and WWE or AEW, like the top guys, Roman is going to be on every week. But when you have a show that is running 43 times a year, but your top guys are showing up once, maybe twice on pay-per-view, it's not the same dudes. The brand is on every week, but it's not the same dudes every week. And so what I think you're getting is a watered down product. Like I think, and they would never do this because they're making so much money off of it. What would be best for the product is eliminate like 10 shows. And then you would have, there used to be a time when there was, and of course, I'm not trying to advocate for fighters to get less fights and things like that. But if we're just talking about the product as an entertainment, component, there's something to be said for 10 years ago when there were half the amount of cards. And it wasn't like you'd call up your friend and be like, hey, UFC is on, I'll be right there. Now it's, I bet you call up your friend, hey, UFC is on. And the response is, oh, who's fighting? I'll wait for the next one next week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so like, it's a slippery slope when you have that much on. And I think even pro wrestling has suffered from this. There's a lot of pro wrestling on. There's pro wrestling on every single night if you want to watch it. And I think sometimes too much of a good thing is not a good thing.
Do you watch any of the other stuff? Like what all other pro wrestling stuff do you watch, Ariel?
So, obviously WWE, my boys, especially I have a son that's 9 and another one that's 7 who has they've both really gotten into it. In the pandemic, there was nothing on and I started showing them old stuff and they really got into it with the toys now and all that stuff. And it's super fun to watch wrestling through their eyes. Sometimes I'll watch, a perfect example is when Jeff Hardy beat Karrion Kross in his debut. And, I'm looking at it from like, the older fan and like, oh, this guy was a big deal in NXT. Why the hell did he lose in his debut? And then I go online and everyone's bitching and moaning about it. But I watch it through their eyes and they're like, oh, cool. Jeff Hardy just beat the NXT guy. Great. On to the next segment. So it's kind of fun to just suspend disbelief with the little kids. I kind of view WWE as the family show. And AEW is a bit of the adult show, if you will.
Yeah.
And there's, cuss words and things like that. And they're very loyal to the WWE brand. So they don't like they were mad at Punk and Bryan for going over there, which is fine. I think that's kind of funny. So I watched that. I know some people who work for Impact. So I'll have my, kind of finger on the pulse. The internet helps keep up with things. Yeah. And a few of my friends are big, New Japan fans and GCW. Like, I just think that the business is just on fire right now. It's just really great to see it thriving. They go to there's one in LA that they always talk about that they go to.
PWG.
Like, yeah, exactly. Yeah. They always tell me I don't live on the West Coast, so I don't have an opportunity to go, but it seems like a great time. And I would love to one of these days.
Hey, Ariel, something I was curious about, being the, the MMA and pro wrestling connection you have with each other. Did you ever like the UWF, Japanese UWF style pro wrestling? The submission stuff?
Oh yeah, that was great. I mean, because I wasn't sure if it was legit, not. It was during the rise of the early days, the embryonic stages of MMA, and some of the same characters would, kind of go back and forth. And, then you would start to see like Mark Coleman over there in Japan and Kevin Randleman and Bas Rutten and Frank Shamrock. And that stuff was stiff, man. Like if it was scripted, holy smokes, they were beating each other up. And so that was always very fun for me. Harder to find. Once the internet became popular, it was easy with tapes and stuff. And I used to do that on eBay, tape trading. I mean, I was really all in.
Bas Rutten was really good in New Japan. He was really good. But did you see Kevin Randleman?
Oh my God! Yes.
See them elbow drops he was doing? Oh my God!
He was incredible.
He was great.
In fact, Mark Coleman was just on my show last week because Randleman just got inducted into the Hall of Fame, and he was telling me about the first time they went to Japan for pro wrestling, and he said that Randleman was like jumping from side to side,
incredible,
like a freak athlete, and everyone was like, "You've never done this before?" Like they were just blown away at his athleticism and what he was able to do. Sadly, passed away way too young, but that was a perfect example of like, oh man, the dudes from Hammer House are over there in Japan. Right. It was amazing. Yeah. In fact, when I was in college, by the way, I was sort of a bit of to steal a phrase, an outsider. And I didn't like to go down the path that everyone else was going. I went to Syracuse University, and everyone there wanted to be, the next baseball, basketball, football guy, and that was never really my thing. So I actually had my own wrestling / MMA radio show at the student radio station. This is 2001, 2002, 2003.
Oh, wow.
And man, I would write to guys, and like I had Bobby the Brain on, may he rest in peace, for an hour and a half, just telling me old school stories. Tommy Dreamer, Dan Severn, all these guys. I remember Maven came on one time because that was during Tough Enough. It was great to, this was, kind of the early days of the UFC. It was only 8 years old, but so that I've loved wrestling, but I also love the interviews and talking to the guys, and I've always felt that there was a connection between the two worlds.
Hey, Ariel, when you were at Syracuse, did anyone ever talk about Dick Beyer and Mike Rotundo?
Mike Rotundo, yes, for sure. Not Dick. Mike is a legend.
So, but you know who Dick Beyer was, the original Destroyer?
Of course, yeah. Yeah, Rotundo, of course, his son, by the way, has one of the all-time great real names. Like, if he goes to AEW, I hope they go by his, what is it? It's Wyndham Rotundo, right?
Rotundo, yeah.
Well, what an incredible name. It's amazing.
I thought that was his nickname. I was like, oh, that's cool. They're paying homage to his families. I thought for a long time that was a nickname. When I found out his real name was Wyndham Rotundo, I was like, oh, man, dude, that guy's got a license to print money. That's the greatest name ever for a wrestler. That's great.
I'm a huge fan of his. I hope that he gets back on his feet and we could see him again soon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Hey, Nick, like we're running over time here.
Sure. I got one last thought here because Ariel, obviously you're a competent adult with children, which we don't have a whole lot of on this show. I loved your thought about watching WWE through kids' eyes and not through like the smart wrestling fans that are largely listening to the show. So from your educated perspective, do you think WWE needs to change anything? Or is the model they have right now, despite the fans that are older complaining, it's a good model that is obviously successfully targeting the demo they want to go after and make tons of money,
Well, so I believe, look, if it was up to me, and again, this might not fit their business model, less is more. I wish that there was less. Now, I know that some of the boys in the back wouldn't like that, but just as a fan, it's hard to keep up with everything, right? 3 hours on Monday, 2 hours on Friday, NXT, this and that. I have never been a fan of the brand split. I hate the brand split, just being honest. Like I like knowing someone's going to show up here on SmackDown, someone's going to show up here on Raw. Like it's all very unpredictable. To me, wrestling is at its best. Just ask Mr. Waltman when things are unpredictable, right? No one thought you would win 1, 2, 3 kid, and you shocked the damn world. And that, set you on your path. And so wrestling, when it's unpredictable, to me is at its best. That's why I actually didn't hate the Jeff Hardy win over Karrion Kross, because everyone would have thought, oh, of course Kross is going to beat Hardy. Unpredictable. That's what I love about MMA. You never know who's going to win. And so it's kind of funny that we're talking about this. I think the draft is tomorrow. It starts tomorrow. I wish that they would get rid of the draft, just have the big pool of guys, and they could jump around from here to there, because I think that there's not enough top-tier talent to split them up, and that's why we see so many of these rematches over and over and over, a lot of the same matches, and it gets a little bit stale that way. So I think that AEW is benefiting from the fact that everyone's under one roof, one umbrella. They're pushing the limits here and there. They're giving you a bit longer matches with some, well drawn out storylines. I like that. And so I just think that sometimes, they need to, a little bit kind of take a step back and look that, maybe something that worked 10, 15 years ago isn't working now, evolve with the times. They're doing well. I think they're gearing towards kids a little bit more, and that's fine. I just don't like when it feels redundant. Like, how many times are we going to see Rhea Ripley go up against Charlotte Flair? Like, the fresher, the more unpredictable. I think it's great to see the Hurt Business back together. Yeah. I think that was a huge mistake to break them up. They get a little too impatient with things. Like, this is me nitpicking, but overall, I just want the point to be made. I think wrestling is on fire right now, and I'm very happy to see it on fire. And dare I say, I think at times it's a little more interesting than the sport that I cover, because of the fact that they're able to use the same guys and come back, and there's some legit competition. There is nothing in MMA like AEW, meaning a secondary promotion that the fans live and breathe, all things AEW. They're willing them to the top. They're willing them to success. They Tony Khan can do no wrong. There isn't any of that in MMA. And MMA was great when Pride was there, when Strikeforce was there. You need that second promotion, I think, to raise the level of competition and to up everyone's game. And so I think that pro wrestling is benefiting from that right now.
Hell yeah. All right, cool. Ariel, I want to thank you so much for dropping by, man. This is a great conversation. We'd love to have you down the road for sure.
Oh, my pleasure, guys. Thank you for having me. Shawn, you're the man. And, I just want to say something.
Yeah.
I think one time did I piss you off one time? Is this legit? I didn't piss
No, I know what you're talking about, but it was the X-Pac heat thing?
Yes,
No.
I said X-Pac heat, and I think I pissed you off. And I just want to say I am sorry.
You didn't piss me off. But you know what happens when it's the people get on Twitter and they do the snitch tagging and all that.
Yeah.
But no, dude, like
I was
honestly,
legit
man,
bummed when I thought I pissed you off. And so when Nick invited me on, I was like, oh, maybe I don't want to be. I don't want to live
trying
in a
to
world.
stir that up. Don't worry, trust me.
I don't want to live in a world where X-Pac is an enemy of mine. I don't want to live in that world. So I have immense respect. I just think that that's like a cool phrase from back in the day, and only like the hardcore fans know what that means. But you're the man. You're a Hall of Famer. I think a multiple-time Hall of Famer at this point, and well-deserved. There you go. Well-deserved. And this is an honor for me. So thank you for having me. Any success, guys.
Thank you, Ariel. Have an awesome day, man.
All right, guys. Take care.
All right, everyone. That's it for this episode of Pro Wrestling for Life. Big thank you to Ariel Helwani, my man Santos Escobar. And what was that girl's name? Jesse somebody? Was it Jesse girl or boy?
Jesse Baker did not show up. We don't have to say thank you to Jesse. He is a man, and he didn't show up to play our game. And Jesse, I don't know when or if he'll be back. Showed us.
Hey, man, like Jesse's a girl. My son's name is Jesse, so I was asking. Like
Okay.
it wasn't like trying to. Anyways, whatever.
I didn't take it as an insult. I was going to tell you what the game was, to kind of wrap up, but I actually like this game, and it's not some dumb improv game. It's like an actual multiple choice kind of, not really a multiple choice, but it's a game. I'm going to keep it in my back pocket, and we'll play it again next week. So again, if you want to play the game at Pro Wrest for Life, shoot us a DM. You can DM me at Nick_Hausman. However you want to get a hold of us, let us know you want to play. And of course, iTunes reviews are always so helpful. If you are so moved, you enjoy the show, you want to let other people know, you want to help us find more fans to listen to the show and enjoy it with you, go over to iTunes, leave a nice comment, 5-star rating, always appreciated. And that's all I got for this week, Shawn.
Okay. We'll see you next week then.
Bye.